Bruce, my apologies again. A few minutes. There's a bit of a trick to setting up a stream in advance. I'm not too bad with just going live, but I'm trying to set it up in advance. And I think I'm slowly getting the hang of it. But anyway, welcome everyone. Us, Graham, good to see you. Harry, Us, who else is there? But anyway, look, today I'm going to do some fun things again. First of all, I'm going to introduce a few more good solo drills. And if you teach kids and you're not doing these animal forms, I think you'll really find them beneficial because the kids absolutely love them. What they are is just fantastic body movement drills that the kids use to get fit, get strong, but they really love them because they're animal movements. What's Daniel? Good to see you. Rochelle, all the way from Canada. Daniel Langworthy, Mike Clark, us. Thanks for your message. I got your message about that package. I really appreciate that. Not necessary, but much appreciated. Frederick, Mel, us. Good to see everybody coming on board. And like I was saying, these drills are just absolutely fantastic for kids. And sometimes the kids will just want to do the drills. They go, well, are we going to do the animals? We call them the animals. So I'll just say to the kids, ready for animals? And they'll go, yeah. And they'll run up and they'll all line up. And what it is we probably have 20 or 30 different animal movements that we do. You name it, we do it. And we even, what I've done is let the kids make up their own animal and they come up with things like the jellyfish, which you can imagine how much that fun that is for the little kids. But these drills are great fun, but not only are they fun, they really get you fit and strong. And when adults do them, if you really work hard to make sure that the technique is correct, it's very, very cool. Okay, so I'm going to introduce 4 more animals today. We call them the 4 monkeys. So they're 4 monkey-like movements that are really a lot of fun. I'm going to continue on with the 7 stages of the Kumite development. I don't know if you're here on, I know, well, a lot of you were here on Friday for the 7 stages, which we covered with Ben. Ben will be back on Wednesday too, so that's great. He's going to come and we're going to really get into some more 2-man drills. Clarence Us from South Africa. We've got Frederick from Sweden. Mel, I've probably asked you before, but where are you from, Mel? Mel Norman. Daniel from down Newcastle Way. Rochelle from Canada. Mike Clark from Perth. Graham Rose also from down New South Wales. So Australia is kind of starting to to move on from the shutdown. We're finally getting some development. We've done pretty well with the virus control. So I'd say dojos will be back in business in 4 or 5 weeks. Fingers crossed. Okay, start off with a warm-up. A little bit of a yoga stretch, if I remember to do it. I forgot on Friday. But in the meantime, if you're joining me for the warm-up, fantastic. You know, I'm not going to assume that everyone's already warm. We just have a little bit of a stretch and a warm-up. If you're not joining me, if you're just watching and not doing the warm-up, well then by all means put down some questions. Us Raj, all the way from Nepal, good to see you, buddy. Put down some questions about the 7 stages of Kumite, and if I can answer them, I will. I'm not 100% sure that I can because some of those John Kasky, sashiburi desu ne. John Kasky is one of my university buddies from back in the 80s. Good to see you, John. I often tell the story of John and the Amnesty International. Remember that Amnesty International fundraiser and those guys walked in without paying you? That was quite an event. Good to see you, John. We'll get into a bit of a warm-up and have a stretch. Also, in the meantime, make sure you leave some questions. If you've got any questions about these 7 stages of Kumite, I can't emphasize enough how really valuable that approach to that K350 approach to developing your Kumite skills is. All right, so let's have a bit of a warm-up. I'll get this right too. Yep, you can see me there. Oh, yeah. Us, knees, ich, knee, san, shi, hanta, ich, knee, san, shi, scoring, ich, knee, san, shi, knee, san, shi, san, knee, san, shi. Ips, ich, knee, san, shi, hanta, ich, knee, Son, she, double shoulder width. Right hand twisting it. Me, son, she, go, hitch, touch, go, and do. Just a quick warm up. Hopefully you've done a bit of a warm up before we came on. Me, son, me, son, she, me. Son, pull the right. Left. Got a bit of a hammy, sore hammy, so I'm just being a little careful here today. Remember, the number one enemy is injury. Never get injured. People say, well, it's just an ongoing consequence. No, it doesn't have to be. If you manage your training well, you don't have to get injured. And one of the most important things is stretching before. Some people say, oh, why would you stretch before? Well, I mean, it seems logical to me, but it's amazing how many people think it's a waste of time. You stretch after when you're warm. Well, no, that doesn't make sense to me. You stretch after as well, but most importantly, you stretch before because you want that range of motion to decrease the possibility of injury to your joints. See? Remember, push hips forward. Nice. You'll feel that through the groin, through the hip abductors. Switch side. I did a cross between the swap and a switch, and I said swatch. Let gravity do the work. Nice and open, relax. Don't fight gravity by tensing your muscles. Let gravity do it for you. Open, nice and easy. Nick. Stretch those hip abductors, hips forward towards the front heel, top elbow back. One. Pull the right, leg straight. Left. And down the middle if you can. Take your head towards the ground. And shikobumi. Remember shikobumi. Okay. Nice and deep. Don't turn the hands in front, elbows out. Close the waki. That's what the sumo wrestlers do. They push with their waki closed. Close the waki. Hands on the thighs. And nice and deep. Left shoulder in, stretch the spine. Right shoulder, stretch the spine. If you need a little, okay, nice and deep with the squat. And shikobumi. Over. Lift the leg. Squat. Move over. Squat. Move over. Squat. If you have trouble with your balance, sometimes if you've got feet problems, you have trouble with your balance, you can always rest your hand on a wall or on a chair. See, I've got the wall here, if you can see that. If your balance is a little off, you just do it next to a wall. When you come up, you can just rest on the wall and back down, move over. Just have your hand close to the wall. Don't rely on it, just have it there handy. A couple more. Nice and deep. Leg straight again. Down the middle. Arms forward, it's knee, side hunter, it's side shoulders, it's knee. So I'll just quickly check the messages. So I really hope some people put some good questions today because we can address them. What's Vin? Vin and Deepanka all the way from, is it your birthday today, Deepanka? Oh no, I'm thinking of someone else maybe. Hey, Kylie's here. Where's Kylie from Eltham? If you're ever in Melbourne, down Eltham Way, drop in, check out Kylie Baker's dojo. It's the envy of everyone who wants a nice dojo. It's a beauty. But all dojos are doing it tough right now, so I really appreciate everybody supporting. Even if you're a student of an instructor, do your best to help them too because times are tough. Okay, let's do a little bit of a yoga stretch. So we know the Surya Namaskar, or the sun salutation. This is the first one. And do two of them. Did I adjust that? How's that? Okay, so remember, you breathe in when you open, you breathe out when you close. I'll do the first one from the side. Feet together. Breathe in. Out. In. Hold. Out. In. Out. So here we hold the position while we breathe gently. Turn your elbows in and lengthen from your fingertips all the way to your butt. Try to make it longer and longer. Keep moving your butt in that direction. Have your fingers nice and spread out so you've got maximal friction so you don't slide. If I just put a couple of fingers on, it'll start to slide straight away. So push your whole spread palm down into the mat. Breathe in. Out. In. Out. I'll do it from the front. Mainly what you want to look at when we do it from the front is the way the elbows roll in. You don't want the elbows to be out. You want the elbows to be rolling in. Okay, in. Out. In. Hold. Out. In. Out. So you see this position, I don't want my elbows out here. As far as possible, I want to keep rolling my elbows inward. See, like that, inward. Breathe in. Forward, out. In. Out. Good. One more. Ready. I'll do it this way this time. In. Out. In. Out. In. Out. Hold the position. In. Out. In. Out. Nice one. Good. Mawashi exercise. Migi sanshin dachi. Good. Hip. Right hand up. Mawashi itch. Knee. Sun to the left. Over the top. Just stretch. Knee. Shape. Go. Look. Pitch. Hard. Loosen off, nice and easy. You can keep stretching if you like, and I'll just come and check these messages. Gee, it's good to see John Caskey's name there. John and I studied Japanese together at University of Queensland. Hey, us, Alan Bellamy and Alan O'Farrell. Fantastic. Us. Now, my Patreon family would have received a mail out today. I went into a lot more detail about the 7 stages of the Kumite mastery. If you got that and you've got any questions, by all means get back to me. But I'll keep covering it again today as well. Now, one other good concept, which I'm sure you've heard, especially if you've ever watched Mark Wahlberg in The Shooter, that really cool movie. But anyway, he used the line, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Well, what does that mean? One of my friends is a Kyokushin black belt. He was always also in the SAS. And he was telling us that for the first period, maybe a couple of months of their training with sidearms, they wouldn't even have a gun in their hands. All they do is they just go over the drill, the movement of unholstering the gun and pointing it, unholstering, pointing. They do this over and over. And they start off really, really slow, and then they get quicker and quicker. And then they put a gun in their hand, and then they do it like that. So slow is smooth, smooth is fast. What happens is when you work on something slowly until you get the movement clear, then when you do it quickly, the neurological pathways are carved. That's why you go slow first. It's a little bit like learning how to use chopsticks the first time. If you just go into it, all the food just falls off. But if you're very careful, take your time so that you allow the nerves in the fingers to adjust to the amount of pressure and angle and so on. Well, it's exactly the same with karate. So this is why if you're ever having trouble with a technique or a combination, Paddy's here, Kyokushin Shuffle. Don't forget to go and check out Paddy's Kyokushin Shuffle channel. He has some great interviews there. He's had Ben, who was here on Friday. He interviewed Ben. And I've been interviewed, but he does some fantastic interviews. So get along and check out the Kyokushin Shuffle. Another good online Kyokushin educational channel you can look at is there's one KRT, I believe it is. You have to double check that, but KRT is an instructional channel from 2 fellas, Wes Jansen and Darren Stringer. And if you've never heard of Darren Stringer, well, he's one of the best to come out of Kyokushin in UK. He's been the champion of everything. And they do some really cool educationals. And they've got a really good one coming up on this Wednesday as well. And keep an eye out for that. Also, Tom Callahan in USA does some good live streams as well. But anyway, look, for every drawback you can find about this coronavirus, you can find a benefit too. So you look for 1,000 drawbacks, you'll find 1,000 benefits, and especially when it comes to online instructionals. Kylie says, let's hope it's still there. Yeah, look, we've got to get these dojos saved, because one of the things that's come out of all these home isolations is people don't know how to live with themselves. They're having domestic violence is up, and people all of a sudden realize that they can't survive for 6 minutes without some sort of distraction. And this is why the dojos are just so beneficial. Okay, so support everyone who's got a dojo. Okay, so the 7 steps of Kumite, what were they? Well, remember, the first step is the what I call the default position, so the body shape. All right, now different arts teach different body shapes, and different rules demand different body shapes. Okay, you're not going to shape up like a wrestler if you're in a boxing match, and vice versa. Okay, and Kyokushin doesn't have head punches in a tournament, so you don't see Kyokushin guys with their hands like this. You might see them with them up here to catch the kicks. Okay, so the shape you use is determined by the rules of the game. If there are no rules, well, that's very interesting. It's really interesting to me. If you look at some of the old photos of the bare fist boxing days, and it's not like they fight like boxers today, boom, boom, because boxers have these gloves on, and if I have an 8-ounce glove on or a 12-ounce glove and I get punched with another 12-ounce glove, well, then there's lots of foam there to cover. But in the old bare fist boxing days, they didn't have that leisure. So it's interesting. You look at their fighting stance, and it's almost like a Kyokushin fighting stance. They're out here like this, boom, so that they can pick things up before. Okay, so the rules of the game determine the shape that you're in. Step 1, body shape and gaze. Now, the Patreon crew, that when I sent out that message today, we were talking about the 2 words for each stage to help you remember. So the first step is the body shape and the gaze. Okay. The next one after that is the dominant head position. And that confuses a few people. But the most important thing is when I take my fighting stance, okay, so what's my fighting stance? The first thing is I need to cover my ribs. Elbows are forward. They're not back. They're forward. You can get away with that. That's the problem. You get away with things because your instructor with a class full of 40 people doesn't necessarily pick up the difference between your elbows here and here. All right? Elbows pull forward. Back heel off the ground. Never have 2 heels on the ground. As soon as you have 2 heels on the ground, you have no tendon explosiveness. You have no reflex movement. Okay, you've got to have your heel off the ground so you can move very quickly all the time. You try the difference. You just test it yourself. Okay. Now my dominant head position. What that means is my head is always in the best place it can be, and that is looking square at my opponent's spine. If it's their eyes and I'm looking at their eyes, well, yes, I'm looking at the spine. If I'm looking between their eyes, I'm looking at the spine. The spine is the center line. So I want to make sure that even though I wedge my body, my head is dead straight. I don't want to look out of the corner of my eye. It's a subtle thing, but when you're looking at someone at a slight angle, the focal distances are off. If I'm looking out of the corner of my eye like that, it seems like everything's cool, but look, one eye's here and one eye's there, and see the difference? There's that much difference in focal length, and that is just enough to make it a little bit tricky for you to see exactly what you need to see. Okay? So we get the body shape, we get the gaze, they're easy to work on. You constantly work on making sure your body shape is good. Then your gaze is always, you lock them in at the eyes. When you're a second dan or a third dan, you can look where you want. And if it works for you, great, stick to it. But for now, you need to get used to not letting your eyes wander. And the best way to do that is look them straight in the eye, because you'll see the intent. And if you're not sure about that, you ask someone in the dojo to shape up, and you look at their hand and you tell them to tag you on the forehead. And then you look at their eyes and do it, and you'll notice a big difference in your ability to perceive the movement. Okay, now the next thing we do is we work on survival shapes. Okay, what that means is have all the body parts in the right place at the right time. Okay, so it means my defensive shapes are built upon the attacks that can come to me. So I know in Kyokushin we have leg kicks. So I need to be able to defend those leg kicks without over-baking it. We don't want to exaggerate anything. We don't want to minimize everything. We just want to get it right. Okay, and that goes for life as well. So many people just over-bake everything. They exaggerate how important something is. You know, an old lady in a little white car or an old man in a little grey car cut you off, and it's like, it's the end of the world. Well, it's not really. It's just like someone just cut you off. Big deal. Okay, so when we're fighting, one of the most powerful keys is, and this is what comes from the K350, the 7 stages, is don't over-bake things. Don't exaggerate what's coming. Don't minimize what's coming. Just get it right. Now, in the 7 stages, or in the core 54, what we work on is 8 primary punches or 8 primary hand techniques and 8 primary kicks. Well, what are they? The first one is the front hand jab, okay, and that can be a jab to the head or jab to the body. The second one is the front hand hook, okay, how to come around in a circle to the head. The third one is the uppercut, and that's the left hand uppercut or the right hand uppercut. The fourth one is the liver shot. So you come forward. You come forward like the discus thrower. Okay, that statue. You come forward and you use your body to develop, generate power. Remember the arcs of tension, the heels. One of the beautiful things about the body shapes in the right place at the right time means that when I throw a punch with my left hand, my left heel comes off the ground. When I throw a punch with my right hand, my right heel comes off the ground. It doesn't over-exaggerate it. I don't over-bake it. I don't exaggerate. I don't minimize. It shoots the power forward. Okay? The first hand technique, lead hand. Second one, lead hand hook. Third one, uppercut. Fourth one, rip. Fifth one, overhand, straight backhand. I'm not an overhand, a straight backhand. Sixth one, an overhand backhand. Seventh one, huggy ski or a right side rip. And it's very different to a liver shot because you're not aiming at the liver, which is on the right side of the body. You're aiming essentially to kind of work the nerves, especially around the spleen under the heart, okay? So that liver, that spleen shot is a little bit different. And the 8th hand technique you have to work off and be careful of is the elbows. So you have to know how to cover elbow shots. They're the 8 hand techniques. The 8 kicks that we use, front kick, and the front kick also includes push front kick, and that's really cool for a whole bunch of reasons. When you just want to find your momentum or your shape and someone's a little bit encroaching or they throw a back kick, you can just push your front kick into them, okay? A knee kick, I'm not a good kicker anymore, so don't expect miracles here. So the front kick, the knee kick, the gedan mawashi, chudan mawashi, and jodan mawashi. Did it even get to my head height then? I didn't look. Probably got to about my armpit then. Okay, so front kick 1, knee kick 2, gedan, chudan, jodan mawashi 3, 4, and 5. Back kick 6. Okay, back spin kick 7, and axe kick 8. Now the reason axe kick is valuable is because it's a very important kick, not only to do, but to be able to defend against it. It gets a lot of people because it comes up. And when you're training in a dojo with people who aren't necessarily really good kickers, you just by putting your hand here, you pick everything that's coming up. But an axe kick comes from up here down. So you need to get used to it. So we have the 8 hands and the 8 kicks, the 8 foot techniques. We need to then develop the correct defensive shapes to deal with those. Okay, so that's your next stage. Of course, people can hit you with a whole bunch of other things too, but it's the Pareto's law. It's the 80-20 rule. I guarantee that you watch any amount of tournament fights or any amount of fights, and you count the number of times those 16 techniques turn up, and they'll dominate the volume of anything else. Okay, so this is why you focus on them. Pareto's law says that you spend 80% of your energy on the 20% of the techniques that give you most of everything. Okay, so what that means is the flip too. 20% of your time will give you 80% of what's usable. So you find those key elements, and for me, that's the core 54, which includes the 8 hand techniques and the 8 kick techniques. So it means from there, you have the head movement for the head shot. You have the hand palms it down. You have the overhand. Your covers there for the overhand and the straight right. You tap that one away for the straight right. For the elbows, make sure that the coxcomb is high. Okay. For the rip, the liver shot, don't lift. As soon as your elbow starts to lift off too much, the liver gets in, the liver shot. Okay. Kagi ski is there. Uppercut is always a catchy one. You've got to spend a bit of time working with a partner on uppercut. Otherwise, it gets you 100% of the time, because uppercuts come in and they're deceptive. They come in like this. And the way I teach it is I call it thread the needle. Tyrone Tongia taught me that. He was a pro boxer, the nephew of Wally Schnaubelt, Tyrone Tongia, and I was very fortunate to train him as a pro boxer, and he retired as Australian light middleweight champion. Look up Tyrone Cyclone Tongia, some amazing footage there. Now, he taught me what he called thread the needle. And what thread the needle is instead of just going bang, bang, or there, it's here. You thread it straight through the middle. And it might be to the face. Thread it straight through to the middle. From there, you turn that corner and you bring it straight in. It's a subtle thing, but the percentage of success with it increases and increases all the time. Don't just go, start to think about that when you're sparring. You get a chance to work on it. Just remember, bring it through that. Pretend there's this eye of a needle, just like that, very narrow, just enough to get your fist in, and you thread it straight through the middle. Okay, now the uppercuts tend to do that. They'll come straight up the middle there like that. So you need to be ready for them, which means you fade and you block and you catch the uppercut. Okay, catch the uppercut, catch they come in with an uppercut, left hook. You've got to catch the uppercut, roll, catch, roll. So that's a good drill to work. Get someone to throw the uppercuts at you, throw, right cross, left hook. So you're here, you're catching, blocking, blocking, catching, blocking, blocking, or catching, blocking as the hook comes underneath and back. And when you do that underneath movement, if you can imagine the hook coming around here, you go under, and that loads the tendon reflex with your heel up. If I do that weave, hook comes, if I do that weave with my heel on the ground, there is zero explosiveness and zero tendon reflex in the back leg. If I lift the heel, I come in, under, now I load it off the back heel, and that loads the right cross. Very powerful. Okay, for the kicks, of course, the front kick, coxcomb, you never know, it's going to be a front kick. Sneaky guys will always be sneaky. Okay, front kick away, front kick away. The push front kick is the same. Block it the same way, but never drop two hands. Okay, thigh kicks, block, block, or take it away, simultaneous counter, or underneath counter. Have a clear idea of how to place your weight for the kicks. Body kicks, back kick, roll with it. Elbow connects to hip. Elbow connects to hip. We know that already. For the back kick coming that way, same thing. Elbow connects to the hip. It's a little easier than the back one because my hip's forward. So all I do is I just do this movement here where I elevate my hips slightly. So I'm here like this. See that movement? It's hardly noticeable in a tournament, but when someone throws a body kick at me, I used to go and put my hip up, and there'd be no hole between my elbow and my hip now. But if I just block here and there's even an inch hole, for some reason it's like a magnet. It would always get you. Same with a back kick or a body kick, roundhouse kick coming this way. If you just block it there like this and there's a little hole, it manages to find its way in. But you roll your hip up and forward, and now the hip and elbow connected, and it doesn't get in. They do that once or twice. You've got to watch out. If they do it a third time, they get sneaky and drop it over the top. Okay, so that's why you always bring the hand over here and connect the hands there. Okay, back kick is the same. Back kick you can deal with in 3 fundamental ways. 1, block it. 2, as it comes around, you move into its deceleration zone. Or 3, you use your own push front kick in the butt. Okay, axe kick are always dangerous because they come in here. So the most important thing about an axe kick is to close the range and get in. The worst thing you can do with an axe kick is to step back, because your body can't step back as fast as that axe kick can come down, and often if this is your head, it'll still get you on the chest. Okay, some great axe kickers out there. Judd Reed's a fantastic axe kicker. Gary was good. Of course, you've got Nick Pettis, who's just a machine with the axe kicks, and Andy Hoog, who really got the axe kicks going in Kyokushin in a big way. Okay, so with the axe kicks, you want to make sure that the coxcomb is up and you're moving in to the movement of the axe kick. Okay, another great way to deal with the axe kick is the simultaneous kick underneath. So as that axe kick comes up, it goes down, you move in and take the bottom leg out. Okay, that's really valuable and it's worth spending some time on. So let's have a look at these messages here. Harry, kakato. Yeah, the axe kick can be a kakato. Generally, it's kakato oroshi. It's called kakato, heel, oroshi, descending. Okay. So yeah, it can be called kakato oroshi, but sometimes you can sting them with the toes as well. You know, you can slap them right across the top of the face with the toes and still get a really good knockout. So there are your first 4 movements. You've got the default shape and your vision. So that's your gaze. Remember, good posture will give you good vision and it'll give you good balance. That's from Benny the Jet, by the way. The dominant head position, which means I have a sight, a gun sight, and I have crosshairs, and I find that target and I don't let that target out of my sight. If my opponent moves a millimeter, I move a millimeter. If they move a foot, I do as far as I have to get that angle correct. Okay, you keep that crosshairs on them all the time. I did steal that move. Well, actually, John Travolta stole it off me. You know, he's a Qantas pilot, and one day when he came fly with Qantas, he said he wanted to see Cameron Quinn because he wanted to borrow one of his hip moves. Not. Okay, so defend. We've got to defend. That's called survival shapes. What it means is your primary option all the time is to survive. Okay, I'm always quoting Ecclesiastes chapter 7 verse 8. Better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof. Okay, and if you're going to get to the end of anything, you need to be able to survive. How often have you seen fights where someone weathered the storm and came back in the last 10 seconds to win? So survival is primary. None of your techniques will work if you can't survive. All right. Now, once you have those survival shapes and those defensive shapes, then what you do is you move on to the defense and counter. Okay. And that's really important. That's the 4th step in the 7 stages is defend and counter. So it's really worthwhile to spend a lot of time. Remember, each of those steps, you get 50 rounds to work on. When you finish, you go back to the start. But you for your first 4 steps, so it's your body shape, your gaze, your dominant head position, your footwork. Okay, that's the second part of part 2. Your footwork allows you to defend even better. And then your survival shapes. All right, and then you survive and defend, and then level 4, defend and counter. What that is simply a transition. All right, we need to work on transitions, and it's moving. Transitions is simply knowing how to move your body weight with balance and with coordination. And coordination is making, as Benny the Jet says, making all your weapons work as a single unit. So if you're not coordinated, but you still have the movement, then what happens is you lose the generation of power. You're unable to generate that same degree of power off the defense. You defend, and then you stop, and then you try to generate power. But if you're getting the coordination right, it means when you defend, you're defending in such a way that, look, my heel comes up, my knee's here, connected to my shoulder with that arc of tension. I defend, but I'm already coming back for the counter. All right? Defend, counter. That right hand sets up the left hand. Left hand sets up the right foot. I put my foot down and I rotate around. I rotate again, the foot goes down. You see that when you around, look at my foot. Around, you get that tendon reflex. With my heels on the ground, when I go around, I have zero explosiveness left in my legs. So I need to turn on the heel, on the toes, and get that explosiveness. So I block the kick, body weight forward, hit, rotate off, come straight back again. Okay, and then what you do is take it now to step 5, which is learning distance and control. Okay, so all those first 4 steps build up to teaching you the value of distance and control. And good defense is nothing more than good control of the distance and the angle. Okay, get the angle right, get the distance right, and nobody can ever hit you. What's Alan? Good to see you, buddy. Yes, it is the same as Gono-sen. It's a counter technique in that respect. In fact, if you look at all those concepts that Musashi presents in the 5 rings, Sen no Sen, Go no Sen, it really is all about the timing and the angle and the distance. Go no Sen is more connected to the counter, the defense, and the counter. So I guess from Musashi's viewpoint, the Go no Sen was simply allowing your opponent to commit so that you can take advantage of their movement in the counter movement. Well, it's the same with us, really. The difference is we don't have a live blade in our hands, but you know, it's fascinating. You read, sorry to get off the subject, but you read Kimura Masahiko, you know, the famous Kimura, in his autobiography. Gosh, it's a fascinating read. Waga Judo, it's called in Japanese. You could probably find bits and pieces of translations. I don't think it was ever formally translated into English, but you find bits and pieces online. And reading what he used to do with his training and so on in respect of being able to shut down people's movement even before they allowed to get off, and then the counter movement and the flow that he would use. Of course, he trained like a maniac, and his instructor, Ushijima, was renowned. He trained very hard. Anyway, we'll talk about Kimura another day. But Mike Clark, and if you don't know who Mike Clark is, guys, look up the book Shin Gi Kai. Great book. Whoops, what happened there? Shin Gi Kai. Okay, it's done it again. Don't know what's going on. I must be hitting the keys wrong. Yeah, got the S that time. Okay. Now, you see Mike Clark's message there is that the same idea as Go no Sen. Well, Mike Clark's the author of that book, and it really is a fantastic book if you ever get a chance to look it up, you know. But in karate, they use these principles, Sen no Sen, Tai no Sen, Go no Sen. And Go no Sen literally means after the attack, or it's after the initiative. Sen no sen kind of means forestalling and taking the initiative. Okay, Go no sen talks more about the counter movement, in which you take the initiative after the opponent has already started to move. So what we often see as a counter fight or a counter movement can literally be one expression of that Go no sen. At the highest level, you know that when you've seen certain people move, you think, dang, how did he even see that coming? And it's like they read the intent of the opponent before the opponent even gets it off. And that's the real mastery of Go no sen. It's like you wait for your opponent to commit psychologically, and then you counter the movement even before they do the movement. I've really enjoyed training with some people in the past, and I used to have a friend that I trained with that literally he was incredibly gifted, and he worked hard at his gifts. And I can remember one day we're sparring, and I was in my 20s. I was fighting tournaments and everything, and I've come in with a really explosive 1-2, and he literally caught both my hands. It was like straight out of a movie. I've just gone boom, and he just smiled at me and let them go. He knew what I was doing sometimes before I was doing it myself. No one before, no one after. There you go. That's that saying. That's a really interesting saying. Kimura no mae kimura naku, kimura no ato kimura naku. Before kimura, no kimura. After kimura, no kimura. Sen no sen no sen. Well, now you start to talk, Mike. Sen no sen no sen. So sen no sen is like taking the initiative before the opponent moves. And sen no sen no sen, I would guess. If I've ever done it, it was done unintentionally. But I'd say we all experience moments of sen no sen no sen. And what sen no sen no sen is that if you accept that we are a soul and have a body, not we are a body, this is me and has a soul, but we are a soul and we just happen to be temporarily occupying a body. And I hope I get a better one next time. But anyway, the intuition, the sen no sen no sen, the intuition is actually that all-knowing, intuitive awareness of what's going on. So it knows what's happening before it actually happens. So, but I think, Mike, you're starting to get a little bit out of control there. It's beyond my scope. But anyway, yeah, good point. Now, the saying before Kimura no Kimura, after Kimura no Kimura is very, very interesting, because the guy that wrote that, his name was Tomita Tatsuo, and he was a writer, an author, and he wrote it. And so some people say, well, he just wrote it. But the point was, he was a 5th dan in judo, and his father was a 10th dan in judo, and his father was what they call one of the 4 pillars, or the 4 guardians of judo. His father's name was, you might be able to help me here, Mike, Tomita Tatsuhiro, I think. He was actually the first, check this out, the first black belt in judo, the first student on the judo register. You go to Kodokan, you look at the first register, and Tomita-san was the first ever student. Now, his son, Tomita Tatsuo, not Tatsuhiro, he was a writer, and he was the one that came up with that saying, before Kimura, no Kimura, after Kimura, no Kimura. And I don't think it was done lightly, because as a 5th dan son of a 10th dan, you know that he would have seen everyone that there ever was who was strong in judo. And, you know, I think that's a really interesting thing. But indeed, he was a very good friend of Soul Size. And there you have it. So anyway, I want to keep going with these, with the 7 stages of Kumite, because it's really, really valuable. But the most important level now is Tsunejiro or Tsunehiro? Damien, that's good on you, buddy. Tsune, I almost got it right, didn't I? I said Tatsu, but it's Tsune, yeah. Tomita Tsuneo, for those who are interested, is the son who coined the phrase before Kimura no Kimura, after Kimura no Kimura. Now, his father, good on you, Damien, that's great, I think it could be Tsunehiro, not Tsunejiro. But you can correct me there. I'll check it out later on. Can't help myself. But he came up with that saying, and he wouldn't have said it lightly. Vin, the only possible with Jundi. Yeah, Jundi. Jundi is just preparation. The SAS call it Recce. You know, you go and do your reconnaissance. Okay, that's preparation. And one of my friends who was in the SAS said that no amount of time is ever wasted in reconnaissance. All right, well, no amount of time is ever wasted in training. And that's what it is, you know, to get to the point where you're able to do what Mike Clark's talking about there, sen no sen no sen. And I'm not going to say that, no, we don't experience it unless you get to a higher point, because everyone experiences intuitive moments. And maybe we've all experienced it in our fighting at some stage or another. But to be able to do it at will with control when we want to, that's a different thing, okay? So once you get the feeling of those first 4 steps, your body shape, your gaze, your defensive mindset, your survival, your defensive shapes, and defense into counterattacks, then the 5th one is your angles and distance. And that's everything. If you can master angles and distance, you've mastered the lot. Then what happens is after that, step 6 is making your own karate. So like Solsai said once in an interview, they asked him, what is Kyokushin karate? And he said, well, there is no Kyokushin karate. He said there's Cameron karate, there's Masayama karate, there's Mike karate, there's Johnny karate, you know, there's all these people in the room, and he just pulled their names out, because you have to create your own karate. Unless you create your own karate, your karate still isn't ready yet. And that's why it's step 6 of these 7 stages of Kumite. Once you have all those others, you can keep coming back to that point where you experiment. So like I said before, maybe it's a counter to that, followed by the right cross, left hook, thigh kick. Well, then it was Tsunejiro. Yes, that's correct. So I take that back, Damien. You were right. It's Tsunejiro. My bad. I always thought it was Tsunehiro, but I haven't studied that stuff for a long time. But yes, he was definitely one of the 4 guardians. The very first, I thought was very cool, the very first student and the very first black belt of judo. And as a 10th Dan with a 5th Dan son, you know those guys are going to be exposed to some pretty gnarly guys. And I mean, those tournaments, judo, mate, wow, before the Olympics, you know, when Kimura, he was the first to win three All Japans in a row. You know, he was the youngest ever 5th Dan. He got his 5th Dan at 18 years old. Work that out. That's just mind-blowing. Oh, it's Yuri Mannanen, life on the run. Good to see you, buddy. Yuri was, I've got a great poster. In fact, I'll grab it in a second, show you. I've got it right there, Yuri. Yuri was my first green belt student. He arrived from a different dojo. But anyway, but yeah, Kimura was, it's good to see you, Yuri. Yuri Mannanen, all the way from Finland, from Brisbane to Mount Isa, and from Mount Isa back to Finland. It's got a great ebook on running too, by the way. Now, Kimura won, he was a 4th Dan at 15 or 16. He was maniacal. At 15, he was doing, besides his other training, he would train 3 hours a day, and he would do 500 push-ups at 15. By the time he was 18 and 19, he's doing 1,000 push-ups, and check this out, 1 kilometer of bunny hops every day. And then he met Sone Chu, Solsai's Goju instructor, and he learned how to do makiwara, and he would hit the makiwara 500 times a day. I mean, his levels of training were just out of this world. There's a saying, doryoku sambai. Doryoku means effort, sambai means 3 times. So he was famous for 3 times the effort. By the way, here's a little plug. I've written extensively about this in my 2nd edition of my book that's coming out in a couple of months. So keep an eye out for that. Okay. So anyway, look, let's move on. I want to get into some more animal forms. I want to show you some great personal one-man solo drills that you can do to train by yourself. You can do them as softly or as hard as you like. The more you increase the intensity, obviously, the more beneficial it's going to be. But give me 30 seconds. I'm going to go and show something to Yuri Mananen. Check this out, Yuri. Remember that? Folks, this was my first ever dojo advertisement. We did that. My good buddy Bruce Powell took the photo, and that on the ground there is Yuri. See that? Life on the run. That's you, Yuri. I don't know if I ever gave you one, but this is my first ever Kyokushin dojo poster from about 1986, I think. So there you go. Good to see your name pop up there, Yuri. I don't know when the last time you saw that was. Okay, let's look at these animal forms. So the four I want to show you today, which you can introduce immediately to your children's class once things get going again, we call them the four monkeys. Okay, the first movement, they're all just designed to look like monkey movements. So the first one we call 2 hands, 2 feet. What I do is I start in a squat here, and I put my 2 hands down, and I step forward. Switch, step forward, switch, step forward. Two hands, 2 feet. 2 hands, 2 feet. 2 hands, 2 feet. Try and relax into it. 2 hands, 2 feet. They're really good movements and really good for flexibility through the body. Okay? The second one, we call it monkey number 2. Very funny, you. Okay? Second one we call monkey number 2. I have a feeling we might have looked at this before. What it is, we start in the squat again. I move my hands forward and then take my weight to right hand, left foot. It's all about the knee and elbow connection, remember? So watch. 1. Look at that knee and elbow connection. There. I kick my right foot through to my left. Switch sides. 2. Elbow knee connection. 1, 2. Now what we do in the dojo is we'll move forward a little bit. 1, 2. Forward. 1, 2. Forward. 1, 2. That's monkey number 2. Okay, next one's fun because we get the kids when they do it to make a monkey noise. This one's called monkey wipes its bum bum. Okay, so all it is, sit on the ground with your legs straight and you move forward. But for kids, this is quite good for their coordination. You push into the ground. Adults can do it on your fingertips. Push forward, push forward, push forward. That's monkey number 3. That's a really good solo drill you can do too. And if you stop at 5, great. If you want a really good workout, you do monkey number 1, 2, 3, and the next one 4. You do sets of them. A minute each. Great workout. Okay. Monkey number 4 is a relaxing one to get your coordination. It's like a gorilla. What we do is we start here and we throw to the ground. You get a good squat there. Don't lean down like that. You get a nice squat. Now, when you go back to the other end of the hall, you don't turn around. You stay facing the same direction. And that way you lead with your right and your left. From the side, it looks like this. So there are your 4 Monkeys. 2 hands, 2 feet. Monkey 2. Leg under, leg under. Push out, leg under. Monkey 3. Slide along. And monkey 4. Side squats. There you have your 4 solo drills. You combine them with the crocodile, the prawn, and the bear. And you've got 7 fantastic. I forgot the sounds. I did too. I did too. I'm sorry. Thanks, Harry. Okay. I can't believe I'm doing that on YouTube. But anyway, that's what the kids do. And I tell you what, if you want to revive a good class with kids, or even finish a good class with kids, it's a great way to do it, those animal drills. They absolutely love it. And then what we do is at the end of it, we'll do a bunch of them. We might go bear, duck, rabbit, crocodile, monkey 1, 2, 3, 4, beach whale, koala, spider, cricket. And then look at Alan, he's laughing, he's been there. Thanks. Thanks. Now you all know that I'm not very good at monkey sounds. And then when you finished it, you push out a set of push-up, sit-up squats, or for adults, you can do a set, you can do a countdown set. So 30 push-up, sit-up squats, 20 push-up, sit-up squats, 10 push-up, sit-up squats. Really good workout. Yeah, that third one, monkey wipes his bum. That's really great when you go to the Woolworths and there's no toilet paper left. That's good. Yes, try those, Frederick. Except on the outside, I wouldn't do monkey number 3. What monkey wipes his bum outside? It gets a bit messy there. But anyway, so I just wanted to run through those things today. When you're working the 7 stages of Kumite mastery, give yourself time. We call it K350. K stands for Kumite. 350 stands for 350 rounds. Every one of those 7 stages, you allow for 50 rounds of Kumite to work it. If it means you've got to put your ego aside and let the other guy whack you a little bit more than normal, that's 100% fine, because in the long run, your rate of increase, whilst some people go like this, see, they get that reverse curve going on. Where's that? You know, you get that reverse curve happening, and the rate of development slows down as they go on. So they get a rate of, see, that's my graph. You get this rate, you get boom, yeah, getting some, and then it just flattens out. And up about here, they wonder why they're not going anywhere. They don't feel like they're expanding, and they end up leaving. You don't know the crocodile. We did the crocodile last week in, I think Wednesday or Friday last week, Kylie. Okay, but when you use the 7 stages of Kumite, this is what happens. You get the graph, and then you get a slow uptake, but then you get the graph starts to go and go and go and go and go, and it just doesn't stop because you've got all the foundations right. When you start off strong and you go this way, the reason you have trouble here, you plateau, because you haven't got your foundations right. So this is what happens. And somewhere around here, you go, now, not getting anywhere anymore. And especially if you started here and you're killing this guy, and this guy comes along, and all of a sudden, where are we here? All of a sudden, the guy that you were catching easily every time starts to just get better and better and better. It's simply because, look at Al, don't forget the spider and koala. It's simply because he's planned his training better. The only difference between me and someone who's really good is that someone who's really good has done something different. You should never look at someone and go, wow, gee, it'll be great to be able to be that good. Well, you can be that good. It's just a matter of understanding that you've just got to do something different. Yep, the crab, the koala, they're all just really, really good exercises. And when you add them to the kids' menu, boy, oh boy, and like I said, you allow the kids every now and then to make up their own, and they come up with some beauties. They've got the kangaroo hop and the koala roll and the jellyfish and all these sort of things, you know. So, look, today wasn't very hard. We didn't do the deck of cards. I'm about to do the deck of cards now, actually. So if you want to hang in there, you can stay. I'm not going to turn the video on, but you're welcome to join me. But that was, I wanted to really, I knew I was going to talk a little bit more than normal today, because I wanted to make sure that we get through those 7 stages of Kumite with a little more clarity. I hope that helped a little bit. Yeah, the cricket, got the cricket. That's a good one. The koala, Kylie, the spider, the crocodile. Well, we'll work on next time I come down to Melbourne. I'll make sure that I do a session of the animals with the kids. But you check it out, or I'll come online with you at some stage soon. Okay, so for that today, guys, we'll keep it at, we've been going a little over time, but I think I just wanted to make sure we got through, first of all, the 7 steps of 7 stages of Kumite mastery. Remember, each step you allow 50 rounds. And you focus on that. So if you're at stage 4, where you're looking for angles and distance, well, you just, for the next 50 rounds, it doesn't even matter if you don't necessarily get as many shots on him as he gets on you, but you're just constantly thinking, how can I deal with this using angles and distance? Or how can I forestall him, okay, using angles and distance? That's a go no sen sort of, well, forestall, I guess, is more a sen no sen, as Mike Clark was talking about, but angles and distance are the keys, okay? And then what you can do is, when it's 50 rounds for your Mai Karate, okay? Step 6, Mai Karate, where you create your own combinations and concepts. Well, you look at any of the great fighters, and they all use the same techniques. They only have 4 weapons: their left hand, right hand, their left and right foot. Okay, so it's all Beethoven, it's all variations on a theme, but that variation is what makes one fighter different to another. They'll play up to their strengths. Someone extremely flexible. Go and check out KRT with Darren Stringer. Darren Stringer's stuff is fantastic, and you're using your flexibility. But some people will never be able to kick above their chest, so it doesn't matter to them whether someone else can do it. What matters is that they take advantage of their own strengths, and that's where step 6 comes in. All right. Mahalo, Richard. Thanks for coming. It's always fantastic. Thanks, everyone. Graham, Urs. I'm going to do the deck of cards now, but please, if you haven't looked at Patreon, do so. I sent another mail out to the Patreon crowd today. Anyone who's current, Patreon's got a really cool way of telling me who's current and who's not, but things go out automatically if you're current. Make sure you check out Paddy Pinto's page, the Kyokushin Shuffle, Darren Stringer, and Wes Jansen, and also Tom Callahan. America's got some good stuff as well. There's so much good stuff going on at the moment. Rochelle, thanks for coming. Rochelle's always consistent, even though it's probably 11 p.m. at night over there in Canada at the moment. Shihan, be guarded. You just called the monkeys home. These are nice. Thank you. What did I call the monkeys? I just had a few visit last week and fed them bananas. Oh, I see. I didn't realize when I was doing well, Vin's telling me I was actually speaking monkey language, where I called them home. Okay, I just had a view last week and fed them banana. Request post session to leave a note for us on the 7 stages of Kumite. Okay, Vin, did you get the mail out today? Vin's one of my Patreon supporters, family. Did you get the mail out today? You should have. And if you did, great. We can talk about that. Thank you very much. On Wednesday, Ben's going to be back. Young Ben Ajamian. He's going to be back, so we're going to show you some fantastic drills that we can use. And we'll see you then. But thanks. Good on you, Clarence. Thanks, everybody. Today was a little softer in terms of the training, but I really wanted to get through those 7 stages. Good on you. Any questions? Sometimes it takes 24 hours for these live feeds. You got to go to Patreon, Harry. Let me see if I can find my Patreon link. There it is. Got it. Okay. So there. So Harry, it's just a Patreon thing. That's all. You go there and have a look, and you'll see. Yuri Mannanen, Life on the Run. Gee, it's great to see you. Thanks for popping in. Appreciate that. Like I said, for those who weren't here, Life on the Run there all the way from Finland. Yuri was probably my first. He was already green belt, trained with someone else. I'm not sure. I can't remember who he trained with back then. But when Yuri was at University of Queensland studying physiotherapy, he became my senior student at my first YMCA dojo. Gee, they were good days, hey, Yuri? Ocean, we'll check the update. Yes, have a look in your mail, your email. I sent you out a fairly comprehensive 7 stages mail out today, so you should have that. Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate you coming along. And Damien Asling, thank you for getting me right on that judo thing. I was wrong. You were right. It was not Tsune Hiro. It was Tomita Tsune Jiro. Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone. See ya. Oh, don't forget, Patreon, double click like, click share, or click, what do they call it, subscribe, and click notifications. And I'll see you on Wednesday.